Yes, that is absolutely insane. Okay? That is f***ing insane.
Fansly advertisements on Twitch. This is actually a war that I've been drafted into and tossed into the front lines, so I've been catching fire and getting called out, labeled a hypocrite, and morally flexible when it comes to things my friends do that I call others out for. So I kind of want to talk about this entire subject here because I feel that it's just a load of dirty barnacles to call me hypocritical when it comes to Fansly advertisements. So allow me to show you to your table and deliver your entree of drama that you've ordered. So, the situation in a nutshell. A couple weeks ago, there was the Streamer Awards that happened on Twitch. I was unable to attend them in person, so I received permission from QT Cinderella to watch party them. This was a massive event that QT Cinderella put together. And one of the advertisers for it, one of the sponsors, was Fansly. So during the stream, a Fansly advertisement popped up, and this was my reaction to it.
A free trial of some of our hottest creators. On top of that, sign in using your Twitch account and see which of your favorite streamers are already creating adult content on Fansly. Fansly has a whole algorithm dedicated to discovering new content and...
Bro, this shit is giving this particular sponsor so much more earned media, by the way. Okay. You missed it? Oh, here. This is where it is. Don't worry. Boop. Just kidding. Don't do it. Don't do it. Anyway. Yeah, this part of the fucking conversation is that, like, I think that this is definitely not a good ad, okay? You know, it's a little ridiculous that you're doing like a direct, like, go over there. Your favorite streamers are on there. I mean, everybody kind of knows, but at least like setting up one layer of like inconvenience is probably the right thing to do, you know, etiquette wise, because it is still a you know, platform that makes pornographic material. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's great. You know, good on these ladies for going out and making their own money on this. Do this while they're a whole ass primetime TV ads that mimic blowjobs and shove asses in your face. But yeah, I think the real inconsistency here is with Twitch. If you can't advertise your OnlyFans in your Twitch bio, then this ad is absolutely against the rules. Exactly. I think that, you know, people get mad at advertising putting your OnlyFans on your Twitch bio, but this is like, you know, this is pretty much the same thing.
And creators through the Fansly For You feature. Swipe and discover today.
A very tame giggle, as if someone came up and playfully tickled me for a moment. And people were upset because I didn't start spitting and shitting, taking up arms about how disgusting it was that Fansly was being advertised.
You would agree, though, that we should be able to link our OnlyFans and Fansly, right? Well, people already use Linktree for it, and I think that is a very good compromise on the matter. Like, as long as you go to a separate place, like, it's basically about like making it a little bit less accessible, right? It's not like a real fucking safeguard or anything like that. And I think that if there was to be regulations surrounding it, it would probably be over-encompassing, and it would most likely be compromising as far as your own personal data or your own personal privacy, right? But at least like adding an additional click there makes it a little bit better. Exactly. Any layer of inconvenience makes a difference. What do I always say about guns? Any layer of inconvenience makes it less accessible. That's why the Veterans Affairs used to run ads on this fucking platform about suicidal veterans and how they should buy a gun lock. Okay? Because any layer of inconvenience makes you second guess yourself. Any layer of inconvenience makes a big difference. Okay?
on this broadcast here.
I'll watch the
Reason
ads
being
hands
is
up.
because prior I had made a video talking about a couple of things. One of them was Aiden Ross when he showed porn to his audience. My statement was that Aiden Ross went on Pornhub in front of his audience, which a lot of them are kids on the younger side of things. So I said that was weird. That was a weird thing to do. So when I giggled during the Fansly segment, it was used as a smoking gun to call out and attack me for being a hypocrite. Because it's the same principle. Fansly was just shown on stream to an audience that undoubtedly had kids watching. How is that any different than Aiden Ross going on Pornhub? Charlie is a fucking hypocrite. He called it out for Aiden Ross, but doesn't do it when it's his friend QT Cinderella. When I first heard this argument, I thought it was just a bunch of fish paste. I thought it was being used satirically, because it didn't even compute that people would try to compare these two things. Going on an actual legitimate Pornhub...
Yes, that is absolutely fucking insane, okay? That is fucking insane. Making a comparison to Aiden Ross purposely and willingly fucking knowingly showing pornographic material on his stream literally is not only completely ridiculous, but maybe even possibly illegal. Okay? And we're not talking about like, oops, I clicked on a link and I saw horse cock. Okay? I'm not talking about some forcing shit. I was a big advocate for forcing not getting banned, especially not having a long ass fucking ban when that happened. It's not like I am friends with Forsen or even have similar worldviews with him or anything like that. But I thought that it was a wild thing that he was banned for a month at the time. You can go back and find clips of me talking about it. I thought that it was fucking ridiculous. Okay? Clicking on a link and accidentally showing something is, again, very different than openly, knowingly, and deliberately turning on porn, okay, on your stream. I think there's a genuine concern of gamification of this kind of porn and also addictive nature of parasocial relationships that especially young minds are vulnerable to. In that way, I can see there being a similar ethical concern around this form of entertainment as we do apply to gambling. What you're describing is literally just Twitch streaming too, though. You understand that, right? Like, the ethics conversation doesn't go away. You're describing social media. The only issue you have with that is that it's porn on top of everything else. The issue you have, once again, in many respects, is around sex and the portrayal of sex and not all the other stuff that you added onto it, because all the other stuff that you added onto it is an issue that is almost universal. What's up, bro? Are you leaving? Where are you going? Akşam yemeği yiyelim hep beraber istiyorsan. Okay. All right. Have fun. All right.
Out of nowhere in front of your audience and just having porn, real porn being played versus an advertisement, which does lead to porn, but the advertisement itself has more clothes on than a lot of things that are already freely broadcast on Twitch that are easily accessible. I didn't think these two things deserve...
Not everyone watching wants to see porn on their gamer streams. A safe for work ad is way less offensive. What do you mean? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that there's also the consent conversation, because like you might not want to see that, you know what I mean? But I guess that's a little bit larger of a philosophical debate. My friend, I know, I am aware, I've been live this entire time. I know that Israel stormed the Al Aqsa Mosque. If you think that 9 hours in, I'm going to cover breaking news, okay, I'm going to let you know there's nothing I can do about it, and I will not be covering it until tomorrow, okay? It's literally 9 hours into a stream, El Grumpion, okay? Not all Fansly accounts are porn. I don't know why it all gets lumped in together. I mean, yeah, but it's like softcore for the most part. It's like OnlyFans. OnlyFans has non-pornographic material on it too, but it doesn't matter. Like, the primary consumption for the website is mostly porn in many respects. The reason why Twitch is not considered a porn site is because it doesn't allow hardcore pornography or even softcore pornography. The most it will allow is, hot tub streams, which could be considered a form of sex work, but certainly nowhere near the same barrier of entry. That's because porn sites are regulated in an entirely different manner. And they should be regulated in an entirely different manner, for the record, because there are a lot of ethical issues that arise when you are hosting pornographic material on your website. Look no further than the complications that Pornhub got into when they let shit fucking slide for many, many years, despite the fact that sex workers, porn stars themselves, routinely demanded Pornhub take action. Okay? They didn't do that until push came to shove and a bunch of fucking psychotic Christian zealots decided to take matters in their own goddamn hands. Because, of course, of course, no matter what happens, Pornhub is run by MindGeek, run by a capitalist corporation that's not going to fucking do the right thing until it has to. Okay?
Deserve to be on the same playing field, but that's where I was wrong. I clearly failed the CAPTCHA here and was labeled a bot because a lot of people do view these in the same category, in the same wheelhouse. A YouTuber named MewKitty made a whole video on it talking about Twitch streamers and their hypocrisy, a video that I make an appearance in towards the end, and it's exactly what I just talked about, where I said it was weird when Aiden Ross pulled up Pornhub, but I laughed.
This is the schizo video, I suspect.
When Fansly was a sponsor.
I am here for some reason.
Of the Streamer Awards. And not long after her video, Scott Schaefer made content covering the same topic where, once again, the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 superstar Charles White comes into the frame once again with another banger cameo. And the argument is the same. Charlie called it out when Aiden Ross pulled up real porn, but didn't call it out when QT Cinderella advertised porn. And he did it because she's his friend, thus he is a hypocrite. And on stream, I talked about this last night. And
yeah, this is Charlie's worst. I think this is Charlie's worst quality. You're so right about this, M. Hood. Charlie is addicted to saying the names of the biggest clout-hungry motherfuckers. I don't know why he does this. Perhaps it's because he hasn't really been shit on that aggressively as the foremost commentary channel on YouTube that has been able to ride the waves without getting harmed too much. But I genuinely don't understand why he will offer people who are very clearly rage bait, hate farming, a massive, perhaps the largest fucking content. It's odd. It is odd. I don't know why he does that. He likes to dunk on them. You can dunk on them without giving them any sort of credence or any sort of fucking clout. Let's be real. It's really, really, especially because to be fair, a lot of clout chasers aren't as unhinged as the type of ones we've dealt with that have aggressive communities that will latch on to any comment about them and harass you for multiple years. True. Certainly true. But I do think that it's because Charlie hasn't upset those communities yet. One day he might. And then when that happens, he will probably learn the hard way not to do that ever again.
And I'll go ahead and get this out of the way right away. During that stream, and in the exact same video MewKitty has posted on one of her channels, I outright say both are bad. It's pretty clear from reading her comments, not her personal comments, but the audience comments, that the majority of the people didn't even watch the full statement. Which isn't her fault, and I even don't blame the audience, because right now, the human race is being plagued by brain rot, parasite, short-form content, which has ruined the attention span of people.
It's also the fact that he's platforming people without huge core communities. Their presence is on life support, and it's him. Yeah, I don't think he recognizes that he does that. But I think that, or maybe he, lends a helping hand so he knows that they won't fucking target him as much. Especially when, people that do that shit, when he's well, I understand where you're coming from with this. I understand where you're coming from with this. When you say that about someone who's a clout-hungry content creator who knows that you have an untarnished reputation regardless by all of the clout farmers or the hate farmers, they probably will think twice before attacking you next time. So I assume that there's a tactical advantage on that end too. I don't think it's I don't think it's like, you know, I don't think it's you know, as naive. And for people saying like, just don't think he cares or all this shit, like, I don't, you know, I don't think so. I think he does. I think he's like doing it tactically. There was another point that I was going to make and I'm not remembering. Oh, someone said, aren't all content creators clout perverts? Okay. Yes, they are. Another thing I routinely talk about is that there are two different types of networking on the internet, positive networking and negative networking. Okay. If you're going to think about it like clout or networking, one thing you can do is just like be an otherwise fun person to be around, be a social person, genuinely, you know, make content that people want to watch, make content that is like otherwise interesting, unique, different. Or there's the other route, which is farm hatred, target communities with pre-existing hater audiences, specifically so you can develop an audience of your own off of the backs of the haters that hate the other much larger content creator. You could say that I do the same thing for Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder. There's obviously an additional reason. I ideologically am not aligned with the likes of Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder. This is part of the reason why I criticize them regularly, because I think that what they're doing is bad, what they're doing is immoral, what they're doing is wrong. One might make the same argument about myself, but they rarely ever talk about what that is on real terms, in the same way that I can describe to you what is really, truly so awful about Ben Shapiro. Does that make sense? I can tell you exactly what's wrong about Ben Shapiro's worldview. I can tell you that about most right-wingers. Many people, when they talk about how bad I am, they might even say, I agree with him. I just think his vibes are shitty. And then you look at their YouTube channel and they've made like 100 videos. And, you know, 25 of them are of me. And those are the only ones that have gotten the highest amount of views. And they're oftentimes very, very, what? Don't have sex with a male streamer. If you're a streamer, you will be screwed. Deflecting, stop deflecting. You okay? Don't ban me? I don't even know what you're saying. The formula is the same, but the intention is different. There's a system in place to elevate drama, but why you get involved is important. Anyway. So, as I was stating, a lot of people basically tackle the issues that aren't really issues in most circumstances, that large streamers or people who have been declared the main person on Twitter, or, you know, the main villain on internet by internet standards, specifically so they can ride the waves of the hate that person is receiving to elevate their own brand. That's fine. I don't think that that is a successful way to build an audience for yourself, and plenty of people that do that are not doing a good job with it. There's a difference between you and CoffeeZilla. There's a difference between you and Danny Gonzalez. There's a difference between you and Cody Ko, even Ethan Klein, right? The people that you're picking and choosing to criticize and attack, you're not doing a good job with, because you're just going after the flavor of the month. You do not have an ideological reason for going after them. You're just doing it because other people are going after them for one reason or the other. Does that make sense? Your reason for attacking Crowder and Shapiro is a good one, though. You point out their bullshit and educators combating terrible shit. Yeah. And when Steven Crowder falls off, or Steven Crowder does not have the same level of prominence, I stop talking about him. There are Nazis that I will refuse to talk about until it reaches a point where their platform is so elevated that I have to address it. The reason why I do that is because I care about who I am elevating. Does that make sense? Are we bashing on Charlie? No. I'm not bashing on Charlie. I am, however, criticizing him on this note. I don't like that he does this. And he does it all the time. And I think he does it for a specific reason. I think he does it so that those guys don't come after him, and that he you know, they just don't give him the same headaches that they give to other people who they might have an ideological difference with. Charlie is a Nazi then? No, I never said that. You're being a fucking weirdo freak, or at least a drama pervert, and trying to get me to be clipped out of context. I don't believe that at all. What the fuck is wrong with you? Anyway.
So I don't necessarily find it shocking that they didn't watch all 10 minutes of what I was saying. But in that clip, I outright say both can be bad, but they are not the same to me. Thus, I disagree that it's hypocritical that I made statements about Aiden Ross and the porn thing being really weird, and I didn't make the exact same statements for QT Cinderella's Fansly sponsor. I'll go ahead and prove that it's there right now, real quick, before getting into why I think they're so different, but ultimately both are not a great thing to be advertising to an.
How are you calling out drama posters but spent forever on a big news day engaging with fake Fansly outrage? Maybe because I spent the first 8 hours and 30 minutes of this 9-hour broadcast covering the big news of the day, and am now allocating the last 30 minutes of this broadcast to some drama that I guess I was involved in without even realizing, considering that this has like fucking 2.8 million views and I didn't even know about it. Do you think so? Do you think that's adequate? My lord, you give me $5 a month to avoid the top of the hour ad break. Obviously, you have all the say in what kind of content I create, right? What I choose to cover is up to you. I will do your bidding, my lord. I love having micromanagers who literally just give me $5 so they can avoid the ads at the top of the fucking hour. The ads are 3 minutes long. You can choose not to give me $5 and use different methods to avoid the ads at the top of the hour if you want. You can also, maybe even luckily, get gifted a sub. Here's a 3-minute ad break now.
Audience that is undoubtedly going to have children watching. Of course, advertising Fansly, OnlyFans, or anything in front of an audience that has younger children on it, it's always going to be not a great decision. It's one of those things, yeah. Now let's make like an egg and hard boil this subject real quick. So, the difference between Aiden Ross pulling up Pornhub and QT Cinderella bringing up a Fansly sponsor is very clear right off rip. If all of you in the classroom right now have your thinking caps on, you'll notice a huge difference. I was able to play the entire Fansly ad as it aired because they are all clothed. You are not getting immediate nudity or pornographic content. It is an advertisement for pornographic content going to the website, yes, but unlike Aiden Ross's moment with real Pornhub just being there, actual fucking full-blown porn, you got pussy, tits, everything all right there immediately. That is not what you got with the QT Cinderella Fansly sponsorship. Thus, immediately, those two are already different. Showing the porn to an unsuspecting audience out of fucking nowhere is a lot worse than advertising a service that has porn on it. And that's something Scott Schaefer does touch on in his video. His is more of a deeper look at the subject, and Mew Kitty's is more memeing with it. I always thought her content was supposed to be silly and over-the-top trolling, but she does seem genuinely upset at me, and I imagine.
Yeah, Charlie's been sponsored by Adam and Eve, yes. Dude, he has the fattest fucking cocks anyone's ever seen that he like rides on.
Imagine it's because of my statements, and I also did say I'm not the biggest fan of the way she edits her content. I called it Zoomer editing, which sounds mean-spirited when I really didn't mean it to be. She edits her videos like very chaotic, on purpose, where it's a lot of sound effects, you know, like a fucking gong being.
Yeah, this is the reason why so many people have a charitable opinion of Charlie, because he gives charity to people that, in my opinion, are very deliberately and maliciously cutting content that they want to make to drive hate clicks. And he turns around and gives them charity. So I think that they don't do that to him ever again. It's probably a very successful way to keep a lot of the other smaller commentator channels at bay. Very diplomatic. I don't think it's a good thing to do. I think not responding to it, not feeding the trolls, if you will, is a better way to make sure that this space is a little bit more habitable. But anyway, he would have been called a bigger hypocrite if he didn't respond at all. There's a way to respond to this without responding to it like that, in my opinion. Like, this is turned into, I guess, legitimate conflict. I wasn't even familiar or aware of what the fuck was going on. You're wrong. This is why you have more haters. My friend, like suckling on the teat of every single person that comes in and says unhinged shit against me and against others, my friends, against other content creators who I don't know, but I think haven't done anything wrong, is going to create an incredibly toxic space. As a large content creator myself, you know, my goal is to not do that. I'm sorry. Especially when this kind of stuff doesn't end with like someone making a YouTube video, but instead, you know, doxing, swatting, harassment of family members, harassment of other friends, harassment of normies in their lives. And as far as like just protecting the top streamers goes, this was the most important part that I forgot to mention. A lot of this kind of commentary is done under the guise of accountability. Okay? As a content creator, I know that that's not the case. There is a way to engage in constructive criticism, and then there is a malicious way to farm hate clicks. It's a very easy way to say, oh, these guys are farming hate clicks. That's why I'm not talking about it. But for the longest time, I was a firm believer in tackling these issues head on. That is the reason why I have so much, such a vast array of different forms of haters from all different circles and ideological backgrounds. Because I gave in to the perverts. I tackled it head on. I tried to turn around and say, you're wrong. Here's what the truth is. And then I realized it's not about that at all. Every single time you tackle it head on, you're literally just engaging with people that aren't really interested in the truth at all. They're not. Most circumstances, they do not care about the truth. All you're doing is offering people a larger audience so they can create more content off of it. Because they just want drama and publicity. And I know that maybe even after speaking on these kinds of issues for as long as I have, I probably have less charitability for any kind of interlocutor because I have no capacity of viewing constructive criticism from that lens. And I'm sure that there are people out there that engage in good faith constructive criticism. But as soon as I see it, I shut it off. Probably one of the worst aspects of it. It's the same as the way I conduct this chat, right? I have usually a 10-minute follow period. That's it. You follow me for 10 minutes, you can write in this chat. You can speak all day, every day. A lot of people take advantage of that. I want to make sure that this is as democratic a process as possible. I want to make sure that there's no subscriber only paywall. I want you to be able to contribute to the conversation. I want you to be able to ask me questions. A lot of people often will use that to address their narcissistic desires. They don't care about learning about a new thing. They don't care about a genuine issue that's in their lives politically. They utilize this to come in and say, you did this. Actually, I'm not even going to mention one of the people that we just banned. Like, I saw the mods ban a person. I'm not even going to do that. I'm not even going to fucking mention it. Okay? But there are people who take advantage of that. And they try to derail the content. I haven't stopped the way that I operate because I don't want those guys to ruin this. Okay? But it's the same way I see commentary and accountability on the internet. I wish that we could all be more charitable to one another. Charitability is something that I definitely try to, maybe even fail sometimes, but try to instill in myself, in my audience, whenever I see someone who is behaving in a manner that is inconsistent with my worldview. Okay? But that doesn't mean I'm going to sit here and, let people shit on me with false allegations or just like completely made up bullshit that they made up in their minds or heard from other spaces that they're inside of that are pumping their head full of anger and fake bullshit. Okay? In a lot of circumstances, like I said, in the commentary space, there are plenty of wonderful people, awesome content creators. And then there are people who like to go after what they perceive as easy targets because other people are shitting on them. Sometimes those people are deserving of the criticism. In a lot of instances, those people might be deserving of the criticism. And then there are plenty of instances where they're not. I think that people, especially large content creators, should have a better moral compass on who they are lending credence and legitimacy to. I saw someone I've known online for 11 years say some seriously nasty shit about you, and it's completely based on his thought that he's anonymous, so I DM'd him with his full name and said it's time to stop posting now. Yeah. Never argue with an idiot. They'll drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. Yeah. Let's
getting hit pretty often, or like really loud blasting music pretty often, and that's just never been my cup of tea. But I never meant it as an insult on her honor. It's just not something that I'm personally a huge fan of, the same way that she doesn't like my content. I didn't mean it to be mean, and I apologize that it may have come across that way. I certainly didn't mean it to. But the whole point of me mentioning this right now is I do want to say that Scott Schaefer did also talk about the difference between playing porn versus advertising the Fansly. He did touch on that. Last night I made the comparison that the Fansly ad actually had more clothing on the people in it than what you would already find on Twitch right now in the hot tubs category, where it is bikinis and very, very
Hans X the Donnie, thank you for the tank of the subs.
Very revealing clothing. And that is a category that Twitch itself advertises. If you go to Twitch when you're not logged in, a lot of the recommended channels are hot tub streams, so Twitch itself does peddle content that is clearly sexually charged. My point with this statement was to draw the immediate comparison that this Fansly advertisement wasn't immediately exposing young viewers to sexually explicit material, and it's even more easily accessible for them on Twitch already by just going to the category right next to the fucking Just Chatting one. That was the whole point of that. That's something XQC didn't quite understand, calling me wrong, saying that there's not a bleached butthole right away or something on hot tubs category, thus checkmate. Hits me with the scholar's mate. That wasn't my point. My point was the ad itself didn't contain any explicit imagery or anything highly sexual, at least nothing that was worse than what is already currently being advertised on Twitch in that category. And when you go to Fansly, there is still not immediately ass and titties in your face right away. Thus, I didn't think by scanning the QR code, people would immediately just be fucking blasted with porn all over the place, like Charles Xavier jacking into Cerebro. So I viewed the advertisement very differently than a lot of people, because even when you scan the QR code, you still don't immediately get porn. There's already a lot of degrees of separation and a lot of obstacles to go through, as opposed to Aiden Ross, which just pulled up porn as a jump scare during fucking stream, right? It to me, still is very different. I also was under the assumption that Fansly was only accessible to 18 plus after you verified your age. I don't use the platform. I thought you had to verify you were 18 plus in order to even get to the pornographic content. Thus, I thought it was even harder for children to have got porn out of that advertisement if they weren't of age. Not only would they have had to leave the platform to get it, they would then have to verify their age and make an account for it. I thought there was a lot of steps to it, making it very difficult for them. But according to some research now, it actually seems like Fansly is extremely easily accessible for anyone of any age. There's not a whole lot of security to it based on the things I've read, which is knowledge I didn't have last night. So, I made the comparison that the Fansly advertisement reminded me of all of the strip club billboards that are spaced around all of the major interstates. Anytime I go up north to Pennsylvania, there is hundreds of strip clubs being advertised, and on those advertisements, there are women in bikinis and very, very, revealing lingerie, and they tell you exactly where to go for the strip club. Well, when you're driving through, there's a good chance a lot of those cars are going to have kids in it and see those advertisements. So I compared Fansly to a strip club billboard because, in principle, if Fansly worked the way I thought it did, where you had to be 18 years or older.
This part is fair, I think. Like, it's on Fansly to make sure that there's accurate safeguards in who gets to access their content. And I think after a certain point, there's always going to be people that can break through that access. But there needs to be a reasonable effort to ensure that there is like some level of safeguarding, right? Because, you know, you're never going to stop kids from looking up pornographic shit on the internet, right? Especially on websites where there's no safeguards at all. Ultimately, though, if you are to come to me and tell me that porn is worse than gambling, no, it's not. That's crazy. Porn is content. Content is content. Gambling is not content in the same way that porn is content. Gambling can be content. Like, for example, when you watch Ocean's 11. In that regard, gambling is content. Do I think that children should not watch Ocean's 11? Of course not. I don't give a shit. Okay? The idea that these two concepts could ever be brought together on a fucking video game website is mind-boggling to me. Why? It's mind-boggling to me because you know what else is content? Fucking video games. I thought as gamers, we all understood that the Hillary Clinton style video games are causing violence narrative was fucking idiotic. I thought that we all universally recognized that the idea of a violent video game causes violence in children was a stupid one. But for some weird reason, we lost touch with that reality. And now when it comes down to pornographic material, it's like, no, actually, porn is making people violent, or porn is making people sexually violent, or whatever the fuck. And that is really stupid, okay? Yeah, it's like Tipper Gore style fucking attitude towards whatever kind of content people should be able to consume or should not. It's crazy. Weird.
Older to enter, it's kind of like a strip club advertisement because a kid could see that but still couldn't access the content because the strip club would obviously turn them away. Ideally, assuming you're not going to some kind of fucking shady, corrupt strip club. And I thought Fansly was the same way. But apparently that's not the case, so that comparison doesn't work anymore. And I recognize that now. And I also made the comparison to the old GoDaddy commercials, which were highly sexualized content that was broadcast during like Super Bowl, during sporting events, where it was things like a girl with huge honkers, her straps like breaking off, and like she's in a courtroom and like judges going, oh boy.
Dude, not even that. Fucking like Super Bowl commercials with like what's the fast food chain? Fuck, what is it? It's like a classic. Is it Hardee's or Carl's Jr.? Yeah. Like people have been using sex to sell. Sex sells is a huge, I mean, it's a cliche at this point. I don't understand. Since 1995, the U.S. sexual assault rate has dropped 44%. 95 is around when internet porn began becoming easily accessible. I mean, correlation does not mean causation, and I don't know. I would need to see like an actual study on the matter. And I fear that most studies conducted on the matter are going to be done by either, websites that stand to make a lot of money off of a wide accessibility of porn to all ages versus psychotic Christian fundamentalists who think that if you jerk off one time, you're going to go to hell. So, I don't know. I would much rather trust the porn corporation over the psychotic fundamentalist because I know what the psychotic fundamentalist take is, and it's one that does not align with my worldview. Oh, this is what I was thinking of. Yeah, Kate Upton. God, I'm so old. It was a 2014. My point of reference was a 2014 Super Bowl commercial with Kate Upton. Like, that's how fucking old I am, dude. This breaks your oruch in two different ways. One, because you just nutted, and two, because it makes you want to eat a burger. Hoochie mama. Anyway, yeah, back during the Fabining when her and Verlander's news got leaked and his ass was bigger than hers. What? His ass was bigger than her. What the fuck? Anyway, humana. Again, there's like a lot of different conversations to be had on the subject. But I cannot state this enough. I do think that it's very, very stupid to constantly try to engage in this Tipper Gore style, weird, puritanical, censorship focused attitude that a lot of people have. And also on top of that, porn absolutely is nowhere near as damaging as gambling is. Okay? It's you need to moderate your consumption. You need to ensure that you're not going fucking bananas mode on it. If you have a problem, you might, and some people certainly do. Like, if you're one of those guys that's like, I stopped fucking watching porn because I was, tugging it fucking 10 times a day or whatever. Yeah, like, you should definitely stop watching porn. It seems like you had a serious issue. Okay? Like a serious fucking issue. Almost always, the people that talk about, how damaging porn is are talking about their own personal fucking issues with porn. And they just turn around and make it everybody else's issue for some weird reason. It's like, bro, that's a you thing. Okay? Maybe you should calm down. It's probably good that you stopped jerking off, Anyway.
Hubba, hubba. And then, like, she's trying to say something, and the other strap's, like, wiggling. And then it's, like, right when it breaks off and about to reveal the giant milkers, it says, go to GoDaddy.com to finish it. And I wasn't really making a big point out of that. I just wanted to point out that, man, it really does feel like the early 2000s again with a lot of the internet arguments we get into these days. It's shit we've had for years. History really does kind of repeat itself. Because I do still think that's a pretty fair comparison. That's fundamentally like the same thing. The argument back then was, think of the children. They were watching this sport, and then all of a sudden, sexual content advertisement. So that's all I was really saying.
We don't need to minimize porn addiction to emphasize how gambling is worse. First of all, God, no, I'm not having this conversation, dude. If you're a porn addict, I'm glad you stopped watching, okay? Like, I am not going to advocate for abolition of prohibition because people get addicted to alcohol, okay? I myself have struggled with alcohol addiction. I'm very frank about that. It would be insane for me to go, oh, well, I didn't have a healthy relationship with alcohol, so no one should drink fucking alcohol, okay? That's insane because I'm not a fucking freak. You might be. I'm starting to get fucking pissed off, okay? This notion that everyone else's fucking issue, your issue is everyone else's issue now is a narcissistic, insanely fucking selfish, American exceptionalist take, okay? Sorry. Jesus Christ. I had the same rant on a stream a few weeks ago when we were making a little porn addiction joke. Yeah, it's just like so weird. And also, look at who you are aligning yourself with. All of the fucking anti-porn weirdos are such unhinged fucking freaks, dude. You don't ever look at those guys and go, God damn, these are the guys I'm with? Like you're like with Aiden Ross and surprisingly Andrew Tate, even though he's a fucking grifter and literally was creating unconsensual pornographic material, allegedly, according to the Romanian court system, at least. Like, come on now. It's also just so funny for me. It's not like someone's being like, you're being ableist. It's just guys speaking up going, yo, I couldn't stop jerking off for months. You're making fun of me, bastard. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah. Yeah, you're not even like targeting like a specific thing in that regard. Anyway.
Saying with that one. But yeah, in closing, I feel like there is no real good faith argument to be made that I'm hypocritical because I called Aiden Ross pulling up Pornhub weird and didn't immediately start calling out how weird it was for Fansly to be a sponsor of the Streamer Awards. I feel like the two are...
I mean, he took this issue that's like that he could have made like a much larger conversation about and just only talked about his own perspective and how he's like not hypocritical. Which kind of in a weird way dumps a lot of offsets a lot of the fucking blame over to Cutie Cinderella and others. You know what I mean? He's not doing that actually. I'm not gonna say that. I don't think he's like dumping all of the major point of contention over to other people, but like he is purposely fucking washing himself away from this. It is a lukewarm take. It is a very centrist take. And especially odd coming from a guy who has Adam and Eve sponsorships, which he neglected to mention in this YouTube video, which I don't think is sponsored by Adam and Eve, but, others have been. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, come on. You clearly have your own personal boundaries on this issue. I think you should be more open and more honest about it. Like, own it, you know? Own it. There's nothing wrong with it. There's literally nothing wrong with it. I say this as someone who's never actually had a pornographic sponsorship or a sex work sponsorship, who has personally defended sex work and has been getting absolutely fucking ass railed by some of the most unhinged, psychopathic, schizophrenic radfems, turfs, and swerfs nonstop for it.
Aren't really comparable. Blasting porn, real porn, immediately to your audience out of nowhere, no warning, and right in their face, just on stream, is completely...
Adam and Eve is not a pornography website. It's for sex toys. Yeah, it's still sex work, though. I mean, there's like an element of sex toys. What do you mean? You think those guys fucking don't... You think the very same people have no issue with sex work? Who the fuck is literally drawing the line at porn but are like, hey, you know what, though? The same, like, pussies that the porn stars make, the same molded pussies that the fucking porn stars make, that's fine, actually. We don't have an issue with that. Like, come on. And if you think that, I mean, I don't know anything about Adam and Eve, but I suspect they sell more than just sex toys, I suspect. Maybe they don't, though. Sex toys and porn are conflated? Who is selling the fucking sex toys, brother? What the fuck do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? I can't speak on Adam and Eve in particular, but if you think that like Adam and Eve or sex toys in general are not made of like pussy molds of specific porn stars, for example, I don't know what to tell you. They used to sell DVDs. Maybe they still do. I don't think they do anyway. I mean, stores are probably fine with sex toys, but not porn. I know. They sell adult games and male masturbators, dildos, sex games and books, oral sex toys, batteries and accessories, pussy pumps, lubes and sexual wellness, lingerie, sex toys, women's sex toys, vibrators, which, by the way, I have no issue with. I think it's great. It's awesome. Okay? You know too much? I'm literally looking at it right now. Like, they sell love dolls, brother. What is this? Rebecca Love. Miko Realistic Love Doll. Blow-ups Granny Love Doll? What the fuck? Wait, what? I gotta show you this. What the hell is this? Is not TOS. What the fuck is this, bro? Anyway, again, people love fucking talk about perceived hypocrisy. There's no hypocrisy here. I want to state this one more time, maybe 10 more times. Okay? There's nothing hypocritical about what Charlie's doing. I don't think that there's anything hypocritical about doing sex work, advocating for sex work, selling sex toys, being sponsored by Adam and Eve. There's no issue there. Okay? Why are you giving this argument air? It's disingenuous outrage from Aiden Trainwreck stands trying to push back on Aiden's kick porn streams. I know. I realize that is what people are upset about, which is so ridiculous because as much as I am an advocate for sex work, I wouldn't just fucking throw on porn, okay, on the stream. Adam and Eve VOD is their porn video sub-site. They also have their own porn studio. You were looking at their main site. Okay, got it.
Different than an advertisement to a platform which does have porn, but a lot of things that they'd have to do in order to access it. Granted, I've now learned that it's easier than I thought it was. I still think the two are drastically different. So I still just don't think it's hypocritical. As I've said, neither one of them is great. I don't think either one of them is an amazing thing to do, but they are just not the same, and it's really fucking silly to pretend that they are. They are very different. And yeah. That's about it, really.
Anyone who thinks an ad to an adult site is the same as blasting porn on a stream is a lunatic. I know. But there are a lot of lunatics. And what do I always say? What do I always fucking say? When there is enough lunatics on the fucking website, when there is enough lunatics out there, it doesn't matter. They make the argument valid. And there are plenty of fucking freaks on the internet. Okay? No socialist would call themselves an advocate for sex work. You are literally supporting the exploitation of the working class, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you got it, bro. You're so right. You're right. You're right. Who have to sell their holes for a living, dog. Always like, bro, we'll be talking about fucking literally like some American woman living in Iowa, okay, deciding to turn on a fucking webcam and play with her pussy, okay, to make money, more money than they ever have, okay, more money than they ever have made, and enjoy the process and enjoy the autonomy, okay? And then these motherfuckers are literally like, why are you advocating for sex slavery in the third world? It's like, of course I'm not advocating for that. Shut the fuck up. He said sell their holes. It's so fucking stupid. And when you say it's still exploitative, every aspect of work, every aspect of wage labor, or every aspect of labor as a commodity, labor as something that you're selling is still inherently exploitative under a global capitalist organization of the economy. Okay? Please, I am begging you to read sex workers, to talk to sex workers. At least watch one fucking YouTube video from a sex worker talking about their own perspective on the matter instead of whatever kind of rabid dog shit that you're seeing in the dumbass fucking places of the internet that you congregate in. Holy fuck.